What if I told you that silence, though powerful, isn't the ultimate tool of influence? Yes, we've all heard the phrase, silence is powerful. And it's true. Silence can command respect, stir intrigue, and leave people wondering what's going on behind those quiet eyes. It's been a weapon of the wise for centuries, from ancient philosophers to cunning leaders and brilliant strategists. But let's pause for a second. Is silence alone truly enough? Can simply saying nothing give you the edge in a world that never stops talking? Or is there something else, something sharper, more refined, more surgical? A strategy that doesn't just capture attention for a moment, but carves your presence into memory long after you've left the room. Welcome back to Stoic Wisdom Now, the space where we fuse timeless Stoic wisdom with cutting-edge psychological insights to help you master your mind, your energy, and your influence. Today, we're unlocking a strategy more potent than silence itself. Now don't me wrong. Silence is a weapon. It's elegant, subtle, and when used well, can shift the balance of power. But it has boundaries. And what I'm about to share with you doesn't just expand on silence, it transcends it. This isn't about being loud. It's not about dramatic gestures or trying to dominate the room. This is about precision, control, and intention. It's a way of existing so deliberately, so magnetically, that you don't just leave an impression, you leave a presence. Picture this. You walk away from a conversation, and yet your influence remains. Not because you spoke the most, but because your presence was sculpted with such clarity that it lingers, haunts, inspires. This, my friend, is the real game changer. When you combine this refined strategy with the unshakable calm of Stoicism and the psychological sharpness of dark influence, you enter a realm where few operate, a space of effortless dominance. The Stoics mastered this. They knew real power didn't come from endless talking or chasing attention. It came from being intentional, from existing with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That simple truth reflects today's lesson. True power doesn't come from what you withhold, but from what you radiate in your stillness. This is what we're here to explore. A strategy that turns your silence into presence, your stillness into strength. A presence that doesn't vanish when you're gone, it intensifies. Now, why does this matter? Because whether you're navigating relationships, building your business, or simply growing into your best self, your ability to influence others isn't just about what you say. It's about how you exist in their minds. It's about shaping perception without even speaking. Have you ever left a room and wished your silence had spoken louder? Or wondered how to carry weight without uttering a word? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn could change the way you show up in every space you enter, from now on. But before we dive in, I have one small yet meaningful request. If you're watching this because you're ready to own your space, to move through life not just seen but remembered, then take a moment to like this video. It's your signal, not just to the algorithm, but to yourself, that you're serious about growth. And drop this phrase in the comments: I use my presence wisely. Say it, write it, own it. Because your journey to greatness doesn't begin with noise, it begins with intentional silence. In our last section, we uncovered the quiet force of silence, how it can draw attention, create mystery, and even shift the balance of power. But its true brilliance lies in what it contrasts against: noise. Think about it. Our world is constantly buzzing. We're surrounded by endless streams of opinions, conversations, debates, and distractions. From the moment we wake up to the time we fall asleep, there's always something or someone trying to be heard. And that's precisely why silence is so effective. It breaks the pattern. It cuts through the noise like a blade through fog. It's rare, and because of that rarity, it demands attention. It makes people pause, listen, wonder. Used with intention, silence gives you control. It hands you the reins of the moment without requiring you to say anything at all. You become the one who sets the pace, who shapes the atmosphere, who silently steers the direction of the exchange. Let's put that into a real scenario. Imagine you're in a heated confrontation. Someone is upset, angry, maybe even shouting. They're tossing accusations, baiting you, pushing you to react. Most people, without thinking, would jump in. They'd defend themselves, argue back, try to explain. But not you. You remain silent. You hold their gaze, steady, calm, unshaken. You don't flinch, you don't justify, you simply let their words hang in the air like thick smoke. And what happens next? They begin to squirm. The confidence they had just seconds ago starts to crack. Doubt creeps in. They begin to second-guess themselves, and suddenly they realize they've lost control. The conversation is no longer theirs to command. That's the silent shift in power. And it doesn't just work in arguments. Silence plays a powerful role in all areas of life, in relationships, negotiations, even everyday interactions. When you're silent, people notice. They lean in. They want to understand you. They search for meaning in what you haven't said. But here's something critical. Silence works because it's rare. When it no longer carries weight, it becomes passive, predictable, and in that predictability, it loses its impact. This is where we begin to see the limits of silence. Yes, silence can create mystery. Yes, it can set you apart. But sometimes, silence leaves too much unsaid, too much room for interpretation. In certain moments, your absence doesn't echo, it fades. People stop wondering and start assuming. And once they start assuming, you lose the narrative. That's why silence, as powerful as it is, must be part of a larger strategy. A strategy that combines quiet restraint with deliberate, calculated action. Because action, when done intentionally, can reinforce and elevate everything that silence begins. This is where we look to the wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Silence helps you control yourself. It helps you master your reactions. But the Stoics didn't promote silence just the sake of being quiet. They believed in purposeful silence, silence that served a greater intention. And when that intention required more than stillness, they acted with focus and precision. So yes, silence is powerful, but it's only the beginning. What lies beyond is a strategy that builds on everything good about silence and transforms it into something greater. It's a way of combining silence's subtle mystery with the unmistakable strength of presence. Before we move forward, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt the power of silence in your own life? If you have, take a moment to recognize that. Tap the like button and drop this phrase in the comments. I master silence and action. Say it, Own it. Believe it. Because silence is only step one. If silence is the art of saying nothing, then presence is the art of saying everything without uttering a single word. Presence is your ability to command a room, to shape perception, and to leave a lasting impression simply by being there. It's not about volume. It's not about showing off. It's about energy, intention, precision. And while silence may leave people curious, presence makes you unforgettable. The Stoics understood this delicate balance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What you think, how you think, manifests in your presence, your posture, your movements, your gaze. When your mind is clear, focused, and intentional, it shows up in your body language and in the energy you carry into every interaction. That's what makes presence so powerful. It's silence with substance. And here's where it gets fascinating. True presence leaves a psychological imprint. It creates a kind of invisible gravity. Imagine someone walking into a room exuding calm confidence. They don't speak. They don't demand attention. Yet everyone notices. Why? Because their energy speaks louder than words ever could. And even after they leave, their presence lingers. It stays in people's minds. It influences how they think, feel, and remember. That's the power of presence. And now, you're about to learn how to cultivate it. As we discovered earlier, presence is more than just being noticed. It's about being felt. Now, let's take it one step further. Presence is active, even in silence. While silence may create a void that others instinctively rush to fill, true presence generates a quiet gravity, an unseen pull that draws people toward you without a word. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg for approval. It simply exists, firmly, confidently, and purposefully. You don't have to be loud or flamboyant to command respect. In fact, quite the opposite. A deliberate stance, steady eye contact, calm breathing. These small, that kind of energy turns heads. It shifts the tone of a room. It silently alters dynamics. And this is exactly where the principles of dark psychology come into play. Human beings are biologically wired to respond to subtle cues, tiny movements, gestures, facial expressions, and posture. These micro-signals don't get processed logically. They go straight to the subconscious. That means when you appear composed, people assume you're in control. When you move with purpose, they believe you have a plan. When you feel intentional, others treat you with importance, even if they don't consciously know why. Here's the most powerful part. When you combine this deliberate presence with strategic silence, the effect becomes exponentially stronger. But presence isn't just about how others see you. It's also about how you feel inside. Cultivating presence means grounding yourself, training your mind and body to remain steady, regardless of chaos or noise around you. The Stoics understood this perfectly. For them, self-mastery was the foundation of all true strength. And your external presence, that was simply the reflection of your internal mastery. Epictetus once said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." When you learn to control your thoughts, your fears stop showing up in your behavior. You stop radiating doubt. You stop broadcasting anxiety. Instead, you move with a steady, calm energy that commands attention without asking for it. Let's visualize this for a moment. Picture yourself walking into a room where someone you admire is sitting. They don't even look at you. They don't say a word, yet you feel it. Their energy fills the space. You're drawn to them. Something about their stillness, their presence, feels magnetic. That right there, and here's the truth, you can cultivate that same energy in yourself. Because while silence may make people curious about you, it's presence that makes them remember you. When you blend the two, presence and silence, you create a force that is not just felt, it's impossible to ignore. And the most empowering part? Presence doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't seek validation. It simply is. Your presence is your declaration of self-mastery. It's proof that you've risen above the noise, that you've claimed your space in the world, and no one can take it from you. So let me ask you, how do you show up in the spaces you enter? Are you simply present, or are you truly present? If you're ready to build a presence that captures attention and leaves a lasting impression, don't just watch this passively. Act now. Like this video and drop this statement in the comments below. I master my presence. Say it, type it, live it. Because your presence isn't just something people see, it's something they feel. Now, let's go one step further. The Stoics believe that while silence and presence are essential, they're not complete without action. Words can only go so far. It's what you do, not what you say, that defines your legacy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must become an old man in good time if you wish to be an old man long." In other words, your future self, your legacy, your reputation, your influence won't be built on what you intend to do. It will be shaped by the actions you take today. The smallest move done with purpose will outlast the loudest speech delivered in haste. Action is the bridge between intention and reality. It gives your silence depth and your presence meaning. And the beauty of it is that action doesn't need to be loud or grand to be powerful. In fact, a calm decision, a single steady gesture, a quiet step forward while others are stuck in noise. These choices, when intentional, carry more weight than 100 arguments. Here's a clear example. Imagine being in the middle of a disagreement. Emotions are flaring. Voices are rising. Everyone's scrambling to explain, to win, to defend. But you remain still. You listen, you observe, you hold back, not out of fear, but out of control. And when the moment is right, you act. You offer a solution, a redirection, not to win, not to prove a point, but to bring clarity and meaning back into the conversation. That one move, precise, measured, and rooted in logic, speaks louder than anything else in the room. That is Stoic action. Deliberate, composed, undeniable. And as we'll now explore, this combination, presence, silence, and action, is the formula that transforms how others perceive you and how you shape the world around you. Are you ready to step into that power? As we explored in the previous section, action is what gives weight to silence and presence. It's what turns intention into impact. Now, let's deepen that understanding through the lens of both Stoic wisdom and human psychology. Human beings are visual creatures. We are far more influenced by what we see than what we hear. It's not the words you speak, but the way you move, the choices you act out, that shape how others perceive you. And when that action is deliberate, focused, and visible, it speaks volumes. People respond to movement, not noise. If they see you calmly pursuing your goals, staying composed under pressure, and making meaningful decisions without seeking applause or external validation, they begin to respect you. They might not verbalize it. They might not even realize it consciously, but they feel it, and that feeling sticks. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't waste their energy arguing, persuading, or proving their worth through words. They turned inward, focusing solely on what they could control: their thoughts, their emotions, and most importantly, their actions. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That wisdom doesn't apply just to possessions. It applies to action as well. Don't crave attention. Don't crave applause. Take meaningful action that aligns with your core values, and let those actions speak on your behalf. The more deliberate your moves, the more powerful your presence becomes. But action isn't just for the world to witness, it's for you. Every step you take, every decision you follow through on, is a declaration to yourself. When you consistently show up for your goals, when you keep promises made in silence, you begin to build something incredibly rare: self-trust. And self-trust is the bedrock of confidence. The Stoics believed that true power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering the self. And action is the path to that mastery. You can't think your way into strength. You must act your way into it. This brings us to a vital conclusion. Silence creates mystery. Presence commands attention. But action cements your legacy. When you combine all three, when your quiet confidence is matched by purposeful movement, you become a force of nature. You don't just stand out, you leave a mark. Think of it like this: every move you make sends a message. Is your message one of calm intention or one of scattered reaction? Are you communicating strength and control, or hesitation and noise? The Stoics taught us this truth. Every choice is a mirror reflecting who. And now, let me ask you something personal. When was the last time your actions spoke louder than your words? If you're ready to embody the Stoic principle of purposeful, composed action, now's the time to take a small but significant step. Like this video and drop a comment below. My actions define me, because words can be forgotten, but actions create legacy. Let's now elevate this discussion, because understanding your own mind is powerful, but understanding the minds of others, that's where your influence multiplies. Welcome to the realm where Stoicism meets dark psychology. Dark psychology isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness. It's understanding the subtle, often subconscious cues that drive human behavior. How body language, posture, silence, and presence can influence people without a single word being spoken. Here's the truth: perception is reality. How others perceive you shapes how they treat you, how they speak to you, and even how they think about you when you're not around. The Stoics knew this, even if they didn't label it dark psychology. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's perception management at its finest. Decide how you want to be seen. Then align your actions, your energy, your silence, and your presence to reflect that identity. Let's take a simple example. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. You keep your head down. Your posture is slouched. You avoid eye contact. You fidget. What are you communicating? Insecurity, uncertainty, a lack of control. Now picture the same entrance, but this time, you walk in with your shoulders back, spine tall, and eyes steady. You make calm, purposeful eye contact. You don't need to say a thing, yet immediately, people notice. That's perception management in action. And here's where dark psychology sharpens the edge. People are constantly reading subconscious signals. Your posture, your micro-expressions, your energy. They're all being scanned and interpreted by everyone around you, whether they're aware of it or not. And you have the power to control what those signals say. Coming up next, we'll explore exactly how to tune those signals, how to take command of the room before you speak, and how to use silence, presence, and body language to project strength, certainty, and power in any situation. Stay with me. Building on what we've explored so far, how silence, presence, and action shape perception, there's one more layer to mastering influence. Understanding how people instinctively interpret your every signal. When you appear calm and confident, people assume you're in control. When your actions are purposeful, they see you as decisive, but here's the real power. When you combine calm presence with strategic silence, you don't just attract attention, you become magnetic. People don't just notice you, they think about you, long after the interaction ends. Let's take this further. Perception management isn't only about projecting confidence, it's about creating intrigue. When you act intentionally, but refrain from explaining your every move, you activate curiosity in others. They start to ask themselves, why did he do that? What's his plan? What does he know that I don't? That kind of mental loop, it's powerful. You remain in their thoughts. You take up space in their mind, and in doing so, you begin to shape the way they perceive you, even when you're not around. And the Stoics? They understood this long before we ever called it psychology. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." In the same way, you shouldn't fear what others think of you. You should fear not taking control of what they think. Because whether you realize it or not, every move you make, every action or inaction, is already sending a message. It's already shaping someone's perception of who you are. So the question is, are you sending the message you intend to? Let's be clear, this isn't about being fake or manipulative. Perception management is about alignment. It's about making sure your actions, your presence, and your silence are in harmony with who you really are, or who you're striving to become. When everything you do reflects your internal clarity and strength, you're not just managing perception, you're building reputation. And that reputation, it becomes power, real power, the kind that isn't shaken by rumors or moments of doubt, the kind that earns quiet respect. So how do you begin? You start small. Begin by becoming aware. Pay attention to how you walk into a room, how you carry yourself in a conversation, what your facial expressions, your tone, and your body language are silently broadcasting to the world. Then ask yourself, are these signals in line with the person I want to be? If they aren't, adjust them. Because perception isn't fixed. It's shaped by your choices every single day. Now let me ask you this. What kind of impression are you leaving right now? Are you projecting purpose or passivity? If you're ready to take control of the way others see you, take a simple yet powerful step. Like this video, then comment below, "I shape my reality." Because your perception in the eyes of others, it's not just about them. It's about you taking command of your presence, your purpose, and your positioning. Now that we've explored the power of silence, the depth of presence, and the influence of perception, it's called controlled visibility. This is a game-changing concept that fuses the mystery of silence, the psychological weight of presence, and the deliberate motion of purposeful action into one cohesive framework. So what is controlled visibility? It's not about being everywhere, and it's not about disappearing. It's about being seen when it matters most. It's about showing up intentionally, with presence, clarity, and impact, and leaving behind a memory that sticks. Controlled visibility means you become known not for your frequency, but for your effect. Here's the truth. You don't need to be in someone's face to be unforgettable. In fact, the more available you are, the more people take you for granted. Scarcity creates value. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus once said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Controlled visibility begins with that knowing your worth, and then choosing how and when to reveal it. Let's break it down. Controlled visibility means you are selective with how you present yourself. You don't flood people's lives with noise or constant contact. Instead, you show up with intention. You speak with purpose. You act with clarity. For example, instead of texting someone constantly, you message them with purpose. Instead of attending every meeting or event, you make your moments count. And what happens? People start to value your time. Your presence feels meaningful. Your absence becomes noticeable. Here's where dark psychology sharpens the edge. People are drawn to what feels exclusive, what's intentional, what isn't always accessible. When you're always available, people may appreciate you, but they won't value you the same way. But when your visibility is controlled, when you appear only at key moments, when you speak only when it matters, you force others to pay attention. And then the internal dialogue begins. Why now? What does he want? What's he? That's the psychological pull of controlled visibility. You become memorable, not for being present all the time, but for being present on your terms. In the next section, we'll take this concept and show you how to use it strategically, consistently, and powerfully to amplify your influence in any area of life. Ready? Picking up from where we left off, we now understand how controlled visibility creates intrigue, respect, and lasting impressions. But let's be clear, it's not just about not being there. It's about showing up with precision and purpose when it matters most. That purposeful presence is what makes people remember you. When you do appear, your body language speaks before your words. Your movements are intentional. Your speech is deliberate. You don't need to be loud. You need to be clear. And when you leave a gap, a noticeable absence that people feel. That's when they realize you weren't just seen, you were felt. The Stoics taught that everything you do should be in alignment with your values and your deeper purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "Let your thoughts be ruled by principles." Controlled visibility brings that wisdom to life. It's the art of showing up with clarity and acting with intention. Let's make it real with a simple but powerful example. Imagine you've been silent for some time, maybe in a relationship, a group chat, a team dynamic. Instead of returning randomly or out of obligation, you choose a moment that matters, a key discussion, a turning point, a time when your voice can shift the direction. When you speak, you're concise and composed. When you act, it's with precision. And when you step away again, you've left behind more than words. You've left a memory. That's controlled visibility in motion. It's silence with intention, presence with purpose. But here's the deeper truth. Controlled visibility isn't just a tool to influence others. It's a discipline of self-mastery. It teaches you when to step back and focus on growth, and when to step forward and make an impact. The Stoics believed true power was not control over others, but mastery of oneself. And controlled visibility? It's a daily opportunity to practice that mastery. It requires patience, discipline, a strong belief in your own value. And when you master it, you don't just change how others see you, you transform how you see yourself. So let me ask you this. How often are you visible in ways that actually matter? Are you showing up with impact, or are you just present? If you're ready to master this art, take action now. Like this video and comment below. I choose when to be seen. Because this isn't just a strategy, it's a lifestyle. Now that you grasp the concept of controlled visibility, let's talk about implementation. How to actually apply it across all areas of your life, relationships, career, and personal development. And like all great strategies, it starts with balance. Between showing up and stepping back. Between speaking and holding silence. Between presence and restraint. Step 1. Start with self-awareness. Before you can shape how others perceive you, you need to understand yourself. Ask yourself, what kind of impression do I want to leave? What values should my actions reflect? The Stoics emphasized reflection. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your actions reflect your core principles, your presence becomes authentic and powerful. Controlled visibility begins here, with knowing who you are and what you stand for. Step 2. Choose your moments wisely. Controlled visibility is about quality, not quantity. You don't need to be in every meeting, respond to every message, or show up at every event. Instead, focus on the moments that count. Moments where your voice has impact, where your presence adds value. In relationships, this might be during emotionally charged conversations where your input brings clarity. In your career, it might be when a project is stalled and your insight moves it forward. Be selective, because when you do show up, people will feel it. Step 3. Make your actions deliberate. Visibility without intention is just noise. When you choose to step forward, make it count. Your tone, your posture, your gestures. Everything should be aligned with your message and values. Speak clearly. Stand tall. Move with intention, even in small ways. How you greet someone. How attentively you listen. These micro-actions, done with purpose, leave a lasting impression. The Stoics believed in actions that reflect truth. Seneca said, "Words that are devoid of truth are meaningless." And so it is with presence. It's not about saying more. It's about saying what matters, to grow, to observe, to reset. It's space with a purpose. It's creating distance not out of indifference, but from strength. Absence allows others to miss you. It allows your last impression to settle in their mind, and it gives you time to refocus, so that when you return sharper than ever. Controlled visibility is not a trick. It's a discipline, one that sharpens your presence, deepens your influence, and reinforces your value every time you choose to be seen or not seen. Next, we'll explore how to use this strategy in different real-life settings, from leadership to dating to social media, so you can apply it with clarity, confidence, and consistency. Continuing from the last section, we now dive deeper into a subtle yet powerful truth. Sometimes the strongest impression is made not by stepping forward, but by stepping back. Stepping back creates space. Space for others to feel your absence, to sense your value, in contrast to the noise and presence that surrounds them daily. When you're always available, your presence starts to blend in. But when you're absent strategically, it creates scarcity, and with scarcity comes appreciation. This doesn't mean being cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. It means letting your absence speak, just as your presence does. And when timed right, that absence doesn't weaken your influence, it amplifies it. This is the power of strategic restraint. Step 5. Be unpredictable. One of the most captivating tools in controlled visibility is unpredictability. When people can't predict when or how you'll show up, it creates intrigue. It keeps them on edge, and in psychology, unpredictability sparks attention. Dark psychology shows us that curiosity and respect both increase when someone breaks expected patterns. Predictability becomes invisible. But mystery is magnetic. Sometimes your silence will be your strongest statement. Other times, one well-placed action, a look, word, a decision, can shift the entire energy of a room. The key is to keep them wondering, what's his next move? Because when people start asking that question, you've already influenced them without even trying. Step 6. Focus on consistency over time. Controlled visibility isn't just about a few impactful moments. It's about building a reputation over time. It's a slow, intentional layering of trust, intrigue, and presence. Each choice you make, when to speak, when to act, when to withdraw, paints a clearer picture of who you are. And that picture becomes your personal brand. The Stoics knew greatness wasn't built in a day. Epictetus reminded us, no great thing is created suddenly. Stick to the strategy, stay disciplined. Trust that every move is shaping your image, your energy, and your influence. Let's bring this into perspective. Imagine someone who only speaks when they have something truly valuable to share. Someone who doesn't show up often, but when they do, it's at exactly the right moment. Wouldn't you respect them? Wouldn't you remember them? That's the person you're becoming when you master controlled visibility. You're not just showing up, you're leaving a mark. So let me ask you, how intentional are you about the way you show up? Are you making each moment count? Or are you spreading your presence too thin? If you're ready to embrace the power of controlled visibility, if you're ready to stop blending in and start standing out, then take action now. Like this video and comment below, I show up with purpose. Because this isn't just a tactic, it's a way of living. Now, let's talk about the psychological secret that makes controlled visibility even more powerful: the contrast principle. This principle, rooted in both Stoicism and dark psychology, is the hidden force behind why certain people, actions, and moments carry more weight than others. The idea is simple yet profound. Value is amplified when it appears in contrast. Silence feels powerful after chaos. Presence feels magnetic after absence. Deliberate action feels bold against a backdrop of hesitation. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." In other words, it's not the action, it's the context and the contrast that give it meaning. When you alternate intentionally between visibility and withdrawal, between silence and speech, between action and stillness. You create contrast, and contrast commands attention. Your silence becomes more than silence. It becomes a message. Your presence becomes more than being there. It becomes a signal. Let me give you a clear example. Think of someone who's always present, always talking, always making themselves seen. Over time, their presence becomes expected, background noise. They might be noticed, but they're rarely remembered. Now imagine someone who is quiet, composed, and observant most of the time, yet every so often steps forward with a decisive comment or a powerful gesture that shifts the tone of the room. That moment, it lands harder, it lingers longer. Why? Because it's unexpected. The contrast between silence and impact makes their presence unforgettable. And here's where dark psychology sharpens the effect. People's brains are wired to notice change, sudden shifts, variations in behavior, disruptions in patterns. When you alternate between visibility and absence, stillness and motion, calm and clarity, people stay intrigued. They watch more closely. They think about you longer. They start asking, why is he quiet now? What's he planning? Why does it feel different when he's around? That is the psychological pull of controlled visibility, layered with contrast. And even when you're gone, you're still present in their thoughts. In the next section, we'll dive into exactly how to apply the contrast principle in leadership, personal branding, and influence, so that your presence isn't just seen or heard, it's felt. Picking up from where we left off, contrast is not just about what others see. It's about what you feel. It's about emotional resonance, clarity of intention, and depth of presence. And this is why controlled visibility is so powerful. It amplifies everything through contrast. When you're absent, people feel your presence more deeply when you return. When you speak after silence, your words hit harder. When you act after observation, your movement feels bolder. And the best part? You don't have to explain yourself. The contrast speaks for itself. But the Stoics saw contrast not only as a way to influence others, but as a tool for inner reflection, a way to sharpen your own sense of gratitude, clarity, and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." This isn't a morbid thought. It's a powerful use of contrast. By comparing life to death, action to regret, presence to absence, you sharpen your sense of what truly matters. You become more focused, more present, more alive. Because the contrast principle isn't just for your image, it's for your soul. Here's how to use it effectively. 1. Be intentional with your shifts. Never disappear or reappear at random. Every withdrawal and return should have purpose. For example, step back when your presence is being taken for granted. Step forward when your energy will create impact. These intentional shifts give meaning to both your silence and your presence. 2. Avoid becoming predictable. Patterns create comfort, but controlled visibility thrives on unpredictability. Let your rhythm feel real, not rehearsed. If people can guess your next move, the intrigue is gone. 3. Make bold moves after distance, after a period of silence. Your reappearance should feel deliberate and memorable. This is where contrast hits hardest. The quiet makes the sound sharper. The absence makes the presence heavy. The stillness makes the movement more commanding. Let's bring it into perspective. Controlled visibility, when paired with the contrast principle, creates a presence that's impossible to ignore. People will begin to associate your absence with anticipation, and your presence with meaning. You won't just be remembered, you'll be wanted. And that's what makes this strategy so rare and so effective. It doesn't just make an impression, it leaves them wanting more. So let me ask you, are you using contrast in how you show up? Are you allowing enough space for people to feel your absence and truly appreciate your presence? If you're ready to master this principle, take action now. Like this video and comment below, "My impact is undeniable." Because when you combine presence, purpose, and contrast, you don't just exist, you dominate. We've reached the core, the heart of everything we've explored. It's time to talk about the source of all this power. Empowerment through self-mastery, controlled visibility, deliberate action, the contrast principle. These are all incredible tools, but tools are only as effective as the person using them. And for the Stoics, the greatest tool of all wasn't external. It was internal discipline. Marcus Aurelius said it best: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the foundation of true influence, not controlling others, but mastering yourself. Because everything others see in you, your presence, your silence, your choices, all begin inside your mind. The strength behind your actions, the purpose behind your silence, the power behind your presence, all of it is born from the level of mastery you hold within. Let's break this down. 1. Mastery begins with your mindset. The Stoics believed your thoughts shape your entire reality. Epictetus said, "Man is not disturbed by things, but by the views he takes of them." This means your reaction, your emotions, your peace. They aren't determined by what happens to you. They're shaped by what happens within you. When you train your mind to remain calm under pressure, to stay centered when the world feels chaotic, you create a magnetic, grounded presence that people instantly notice. That's where real power begins. It begins with stillness, with control, with inner calm. 2. Discipline is the second layer of mastery. Mastery isn't just about what you know, it's about what you do consistently. Discipline is what turns a philosophy into a lifestyle. It's what forges confidence from repetition. And it's built in the small, unseen moments, day after day. When you follow through on your commitments, when you show up even when it's hard, when you choose growth over comfort, you start to trust yourself. And that trust, it's the foundation of confidence, of presence, of leadership. Whether it's physical discipline, mental clarity, or emotional control, mastery is not an accident. It's a decision you make over and over until it becomes who you are. In the next and final section, we'll tie everything together: how to live and lead from a place of stillness, strength, and supreme self-command. Because influence isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the most intentional. Let's bring it home. Everything we've explored about silence, presence, action, contrast, and control leads to this truth. When you align your presence and your actions, you don't just leave an impression, you leave a legacy. But here's the reality. This journey won't always be easy. Self-mastery demands discipline. Controlled visibility takes patience. And building a presence that speaks louder than words, that's not instant. It takes time, consistency, intention. You'll face moments of doubt. You'll feel invisible before you feel powerful. But if you stay consistent, if you stay committed, the world around you will begin to shift. You'll notice it in the small things. People leaning in when you speak, the quiet respect when you say nothing, the subtle weight of your absence when you're no longer in the room. That's the result of strategy, alignment, and self-mastery. That's the power of becoming the leader of your own life. So now I ask you, one final time, what are you going to do next? Will you keep fading into the background, reacting without intention, blending into the noise? Or will you start showing up on purpose, with purpose? If you're ready to take ownership of your presence, your actions, and your impact, here's your first move. Like this video right now. It's small, but it's not meaningless. It's your first deliberate action in a long line of intentional steps. Comment below, "I leave a legacy." Say it, type it, own it. Because that's the level of influence you're stepping into, not to be seen, but to be remembered. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stoic Wisdom now and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of growth, clarity, or purpose. Because this isn't just a channel, it's your companion on the path to mastery. And I'll be here, guiding you, challenging you, encouraging you, every step of the way. So remember this, your silence is strength. Your presence is impact. Your actions are legacy. This life is yours to shape, so let it become a testament to your discipline, your clarity, and your power. Keep rising, keep mastering yourself, and above all, keep blessing the world with your strength. I'll see you in the next video.